Rain hammers a forgotten alley while a music box spins in an empty prize corner. Somewhere between those two scenes, something wakes up and decides what kind of monster it has to be. Hey guys, Horror Lorekeeper here. Today we're pulling on a thread that runs from that rain-soaked alley to a burning restaurant and ties the whole series together. The disturbing psychology of Charlotte Emily and her revenge. Is she protecting or punishing? Hero or monster? We're going to break down how Charlotte of the Puppet looks and moves, what triggers her in gameplay, how her story unfolds from security puppet to give gifts, give life, to being sealed inside Lefty, and the leading theories on what her revenge really is. Punishment, protection, or liberation. We'll hit appearance, behavior, story, and theories. So sit back, relax, and let's dive back into the world of FNAF. First context. On the surface, Charlotte lives in the FNAF 2 era, the prize corner with its relentless music box, but her shadow stretches backward into the alley outside a small family diner and forward into Pizzeria Simulator and FNAF 3's hidden minigames. If we had to place her on a map, she occupies liminal edges, the threshold of a pizzeria door, the prize corner tucked off to the side, the border between the day's noise and the night's regret. Picture that cramped prize corner from Cam 11, plushies and prize shelves, a glass case reflecting our flashlight, and behind it all, the slow spin of a music box key that feels less like a toy and more like a ventilator keeping something alive. Before we talk motives, we need to see her, the puppet, the marionette. Tall and lanky and humanoid, moving with a floating glide that ignores floor squeaks. We can see the white, porcelain smooth faceplate, expressionless but unsettling, with painted blush circles and tear tracks like black ink that never dried. We notice the long black body with white arm stripes and 3 pale buttons down the chest, almost a funeral suit reimagined as a doll. When she rises from the prize corner, the head tilts, the limbs hang just wrong, and the face doesn't change even a little. There's no mouth snarl, no eye flash. The horror is that the mask never moves. For the moment the music box dies, you're too late on the wind, and that white face snaps straight into yours. Later in Lefty, we can see a new shell and black suit, star on the chest. But if we watch closely in those salvage moments, we notice something familiar in the posture, the patience. The way the air seems to thicken when it looks at us. Function and behavior. When does the player actually encounter her, and what flips the switch? In FNAF 2, her entire loop is a contract. Keep the music box wound or she comes. That's the trigger, not noise, not light, but neglect. Let the melody die and she rises, floats down the hall, and delivers an instant jump scare that neither the Freddy head nor quick reflexes can stop. You feel it every time you panic switch to Cam 11 and spam the win button, ignoring every other threat because you know the puppet doesn't play by their rules. Her threat profile is different from the other toys and wizards. They play peekaboo with the mask and vents. She enforces a ritual. Fail the ritual and there's no bargaining. If we break her into phases like a boss with evolutions, it goes basic, mid, late, basic, security puppet, tired child phase. A small child at a party in the rain, locked outside. The security puppet breaks its case and crawls through the door. Circuitry and soul meet in the alley. In the security puppet minigame, we watch it step out of the box, dodge balloons and tables, and drag itself toward the doorway while the party keeps going without it. Mid, prize corner puppet, the marionette who patrols from the box. Ritual enforcer, give gifts, give life in minigames. A guardian who's also a judge. In FNAF 2, that's the thing behind the Win Music Box UI. The reason you can't just camp the mask. In the give gifts, give life minigame, we literally move the puppet from body to body, watching it turn corpses into characters. Late, Lefty containment, the star-chested bear suit designed to capture her. In the salvage, she sits and waits. In the finale, she's named and burned with the others. In Pizzeria Simulator's salvage interface, you flip the monitor down, play audio, and pray Lefty hasn't inched any closer when you look up. That's Charlotte, buried in a corporate trap, biding her time. With behavior out of the way, let's pull her into the broader lore. Charlotte is Henry Emily's daughter. In the most accepted reading of the hidden minigames, she's murdered outside the restaurant during a party, separated from safety by a locked door while it rains. The security puppet T, a smaller, mask-like variant, leaves its case, seeks the child, and lies on her body in the alley. That moment, machine shielding child from cold, is the axis the puppet turns on. It suggests a psychology not of hunger, but of protection fused to greed. After that, the puppet becomes the protector that also punishes. Give gifts, give life isn't a random phrase. It's the franchise's thesis for Charlotte. Collect, clothe, crown, and animate the fallen with purpose. She's the one who organizes a haunting. Setup, the alley and the locked door. Now, let's run the story like a narrated playthrough. Setup, investigation, rising danger, final confrontation, ending. We begin not at midnight, but at dusk. The party's inside, the posters are bright, and the door is shut. We can smell wet pavement. The child is outside. We watch as a simple security puppet, smaller, boxed behind glass, senses something wrong, slips free, and crawls out into the weather. We can see little shoes, we can see the ribbon, we can see the rain darkening the boxy paper crown. There's a shape in the dark that isn't apparent. We don't need to see the knife. The silence is enough. The puppet reaches the child and drapes its body over hers like a blanket. It's small, utilitarian, weak, and it refuses to leave. What would you do if you were locked out in that rain, watching the party through the glass? If remnant is the science and agony is the weapon, this is the origin, an act of love that becomes a lasting bond. Investigation. The prize corner contract cut to FNAF 2. We're in the office with too many vents and not enough hands. On the left monitor, a tiny wheel spins. We can hear a music box stitched to time itself. Our job is suddenly a ritual. Wind, wind, wind. Every other threat we treat with quick masks and light flicks. The puppet is different. She is the cost of forgetting. We see her in the arcade art as a sad string figure. We feel her when the melody stutters. You know that moment when the warning jingle speeds up and you ignore a hallway threat just to slam the music box back to full. The psychology of this is sharp. Charlotte enforces memory. If you let the place return to mindless routine, she rises. If you remember, if you keep the song alive, she stays put. She doesn't want you dead so much as she wants the dead remembered. But the game has no empathy meter, so she kills you anyway. That's the difference between Guardian and Avenger. Same face, different targets, and the player sits in the crossfire. Is that a hero? Or just another executioner in stripes? Rising danger. Give gifts, give life. Across many games, we watch the puppet move in slow, deliberate acts. We can see the Christmas-colored sprites. We can see the dead on the floor. We can see the puppet putting gifts and then masks onto bodies. She isn't creating monsters. She's assigning identities back to the nameless. The gesture is almost priestly. We're told, quietly in the margins, that possession anchors to attachment and agony. The puppet seems to choose how that attachment will express. In a normal ghost story, the spirit rages blindly. Here, Charlotte curates the haunting like a librarian of grief. That's disturbing because it's not chaotic, it's purposeful. If you're siding with Charlotte right now, thinking she's just helping the kids, this is where that comfort starts to crack. Final confrontation, the trap and the fire. By the time we reach Pizzeria Simulator, Henry understands what his daughter became and what she's still doing. He builds Lefty specifically to contain her. We can imagine him designing it with shaking hands, a suit that looks like any other black bear, star on the chest, hiding a purpose, a cage for the puppet. In the salvage sequence, Lefty sits under fluorescent light. We take notes, glance down, look back up. Every flicker on the audio lure, every tiny pose change is Henry's desperate attempt to bottle his own child in a corporate form. This isn't just a hostile animatronic with a clipboard. It's Henry trying to catch his child so he can finally free her in a fire made for William. On the final night, his recorded speech names her explicitly "my daughter" and tells her to rest. That's the difference between her revenge and Afton's persistence. Charlotte's ends when the work is done. Before we move on, let's mini profile each major form: appearance, role, threat, and as if we're flipping cams: security puppet, mini game, small mask body, striped arms, fragile and stubborn. Role, first responder, shield in the rain. Threat, none to us, origin of the bond, that helpless side view in the mini game where all it can do is lie over the body. The puppet, marionette, FNAF 2. Porcelain face, ink tears, lanky and human. Oid, role, ritual enforcer, soul organizer. Threat, instant jump scare if the music box lapses. Mask-proof hallway-filling terror you hear coming in the rising music box queue. Lefty, FNAF 6, black bear suit, star badge, expressionless but unsettling patience. Role, containment shell for Charlotte, delivery to the fire. Threat, salvage mind games, inches when we look away, that awful stillness in your office when every other salvaged animatronic is also waiting to pounce. So what's the psychology under that mask? Why does Charlotte read more chilling than a sprinting Foxy? Guardian turned Avenger. The alley scene imprints two paired instincts, protect and remember. In FNAF 2, those impulses calcify into rule enforcement. Keep the song, remember the wrong, and the place survives the night. Neglect it, and she comes. But an Avenger who lives in a place that keeps reopening will always look like a monster to the night guard. That's the horrible irony. If you were the uniform who ignored the first reports, she'd be your nightmare. If you're a bystander trying to keep the lights on, she still is. Because the system keeps demanding the wrong kind of normal. Compulsion for ritual. Charlotte's behaviors are procedural. Wind, gift, mask, uplift. Rituals are how traumatized minds impose meaning on horror. A child who died because a door didn't open creates a rule that must be followed. The lockstep of the music box, the order of the gifts, the sequence of the names. She can't keep herself alive anymore, so she keeps the memory of the dead alive through you. Attachment to edge spaces. She lives in corners, behind glass, in a prize case, in the threshold of a door, later inside Lefty's chest. Psychologically, that maps to her liminal moment of death. Outside looking in, almost saved, too late. She shuns center stage and commands it from the margins. When she does take center stage, the mini games, it's only to hand the stage to others. Instrumental anger. Charlotte doesn't lash out randomly. Her anger is instrumental. It achieves tasks. Gather children, bind them into forms that can move. Point all of that at a name, Afton, and then finally accept release. That's a colder brand of vengeance than we see in other spirits. It's terrifying because it feels adult in a child's body. If your team she's a hero right now, keep that in mind. Heroes don't usually need you to die to prove their point. What does revenge mean for Charlotte? This brings us to the big question. So what does revenge actually mean for Charlotte Emily? If you're firmly on the Guardian side, this is where things get complicated. Restorative revenge. The likeliest reading is that Charlotte's revenge is restorative rather than purely punitive. She is not trying to rack up bodies, she's trying to equalize an imbalance. The world took children and left them uncounted. She counts them, crowns them, and arms them with identity. The music box is a metronome of remembrance. The jump scare is what happens when that obligation is ignored. In the end, her revenge completes itself not by killing the killer, Henry and Michael handle the fire, but by refusing to let the victims disappear until it's safe to let them go. In this view, her attack on the player is collateral damage of a Guardian who can't trust anyone in a Freddy's uniform. Misdirected aggression. An alternative fan reading is misdirected aggression. Charlotte's pain is so fused with the building that any guard reads as the enemy, a uniformed proxy for the adults who failed her. The music box becomes less about remembrance and more about control, a self-soothing compulsion that keeps her anchored. In this lens, she attacks because the pattern breaks, not because of moral calculus. The protective narrative is something we project. The puppet is a spirit trapped in a loop, ritual technician. A third angle draws on book-aligned mechanics, remnant agony. Charlotte as an entity who learned that ritual acts move souls, give gifts, give life, is not poetry, it's procedure. Her revenge is the application of that procedure to undo Williams, a lab tech using the lab for mercy. That's why Henry builds Lefty, not to punish her, but to catch her, so the last necessary procedure, heat, can free her too. Let's separate what's supported in-game from what we're inferring. Supported security puppet leaves its case in the rain to reach a dying child. The puppet in FNAF 2 is tied to the music box and ignores the Freddy mask. Minigames depict give gifts, give life. In FNAF 6, Lefty is built to contain the puppet and is present for Henry's cleansing fire. Strongly suggested, Charlotte's spirit is the puppet. She acts to organize the other spirits. Henry's speech in the fire addresses his daughter and releases her. Inferred, the music box as a remembrance mechanic, how far Charlotte consciously chooses identities for the possessed. Whether her aggression toward the player is judgment of complicity or pure reflex. The pattern, though, stays consistent, an edge-dwelling protector who becomes the avenger of forgotten children. Before we close, a quick walkthrough style tip for reading any future puppet adjacent moment. If a scene introduces a ritual, wind, gift, name, burn, ask who that ritual serves. Corporate procedure or Charlotte's counting of the dead. If a suit looks empty but the air changes around it, ask whether you're seeing a shell or a cage. And if music starts to fade in a room that once held a party, assume Charlotte is already in the hallway, measuring whether you remembered. Here's the tidy, slightly sinister line to leave ringing. If you were on night shift, staring down that hallway as the music dies, would you really call her a hero? Or just another killer with a better reason? Afton made a place where children vanish. Charlotte made sure they were seen, even if you had to die to see them. That's her revenge. Not simple murder, but memory with teeth, a guardian and an avenger, forcing you to choose which one you believe in. Drop your verdict in the comments. Is Charlotte Emily protecting or punishing? Hero, monster, or something in between? So when you think about Charlotte, the alley, the music box, and the fire, ask yourself one last time, are you looking at a guardian of memory, an avenger of the forgotten, or both wearing the same painted smile? If you enjoyed this breakdown, remember to leave a like, comment down below with what you want to see next, and of course subscribe to Horror Lorekeeper for more FNAF and horror content. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.